Welcome back, football fans, to On the Heater. My name is Ben Martinez, and today we'll be going over the last picks from last week. We'll be going over my new picks for this week, and then we'll go over the trap games that I feel might get in the way of you winning money this week. So let's start on off talking about what happened last week. Fortunately, didn't start off on the right foot. Not really on a heater, more kind of like a little campfire that's kind of dwindling out. But I'm looking to pour some gasoline on that fire and make it become a blaze again, and start off with some good wins going into this week. So talking about last week, week 10, not really my strongest week. We went 2-4. Fortunately, two of those losses lost by only 0.5 of points. And I'm going to go over them just real quick, real brief, and then hopefully you'll see kind of, again, what I talked about last week with the method of my madness of how I think and some of the games that I choose, because a lot of them that I'm choosing this week, almost to a certain degree, have the flair, have the one thing that I really look for in games. And even one that I lost last week, I should have saw that sign and flipped the script on it. So, real quick, last week, my two winners were the Rams over the Seahawks. I had the Rams minus 1.5. And my second winner was the Raiders minus 5 against the Broncos. Now, the two things those games had in common were both the road teams were coming in onto their second road game of that week. And that's a big red flag for me. And I love going against teams that are on their second road game. The four that I lost, unfortunately, was that awful Cleveland game. Can you believe Nick Chubb didn't score that touchdown?
And he does it, and he may go all the way. And he does. No flags are down, and Chubb, he ran out of bounds. Goes out of bounds at the 1 yard line.
Pulled out all my hair from last week because of that. So, fortunately, that one didn't work out. And but I'm definitely looking back into getting on the Cleveland train again this week. But before I go there, second game that I lost was the under in the Philadelphia Giants game. But again, by 0.5 points. I had that over, and it just did not hit. But again, I can't help if Carson Wentz lays an egg. They are the Eagles, of course. Second game that I lost, and I just completely missed this one. I really liked the Bengals last week, and unfortunately, they just didn't have it coming off that bye. And the Steelers, I think, are for reals. Last game that I lost, and I should have seen the sign because it has the same thing in common with that Rams-Seahawks game, same thing in common with that Raiders-Broncos game, and same thing that I was going to have in common with a lot of the games that I like this week. And the Ravens are just one of those teams that, again, are going off that second road game. And it's just a huge red flag for me. But I still took them anyways because I think the Patriots were not that great. But I guess combination with that weather and that great Patriots defense, Ravens just could not get that W. So those were pretty much my games last week. I started off 2-4, not the best. And I'm pretty much 1 point away from being 4-2 instead of 2-4. But going into this week's games, this is what I got. So starting off with the two that are meh is the Washington Football Club will be the first team on that list. Kind of the bottom of the barrel there, but I like them at -1. Playing at home against a horrible Bengals team. Just awful Bengals team. But what I do like about the Washington Football Club going against the Bengals is that they're going as a Bengals team that is really banged up. They're hurt. Probably going to be missing their star running back, Joe Mixon, again this week. And this is a team that's coming off their second road win, just like I talked about earlier for the games from last week. All those games that I picked, that the second road team just got killed. And I like that Washington team just for that simple fact. Not really the most talented team, but with Alex Smith at quarterback, throwing over 300 yards last week against the Lions, they look really good. Antonio Gibson scoring 2 touchdowns last week. He can really run the ball. And that Bengals team is just completely depleted on the defensive end. I look for Washington to win by more than 1. I'd say they'll probably win by a touchdown this week, especially at home. So, Bengals, losers. Washington Football Club, winner this week, -1. If you can still find it at -1. Second game that's a meh to me. I'm going back with the Rams. Don't necessarily like taking road teams on Monday night, but this Rams team has something in common with what the Saints were able to do to that Buccaneers offensive line a couple weeks ago, what the Giants were able to do a couple weeks ago on Monday night against that Buccaneers line, and what the Bears really did well against that Buccaneers team a couple weeks ago as well, and that was get after Tom Brady. With Aaron Donald and that defensive line, they're going to be giving Brady fits all game long, even on the road. And I really, really, really like the Rams plus 3.5. If it was any lower than that, I probably wouldn't like that. So look where you can get your local lines at and make sure it's around that number. But this week, I like the Rams to a certain degree. So if you're feeling lucky and that we're thinking on the same vibes there, I say go ahead and roll your money down on the Rams and see if they come through for you. And the two games that I like this week, going back to the Cleveland Browns again. Last week, they kind of let me down just because of that last run by Nick Chubb. They were literally winning the whole game, up 10-0, going into the fourth quarter. And that defense just had a mental lapse and let them score that touchdown. And then on top of that, they still had a chance to ice the game, or ice the line and win that outright for everybody. And just hearing that Vegas ended up winning 6 figures just off that simple run out of bounds just drives you crazy. But it happens. Fortunately, it's gambling. What are you going to do? So, again, I'm going back to the Browns again, minus 3.5. Don't necessarily like the Eagles. Not a big fan of what they did last week. And then on top of that, just like with the Washington game, the Eagles are coming in on their second road game. Big red flag for me there. That's why I love the Browns minus 3. Might climb up. I'd still probably take the Browns minus 4 at this point. But again, that game was ugly last week, and it's going to be ugly again this week. Just looking how badly it was raining and thunderstorms and everything, supposedly that's what is in line for this week as well. So if you could find Cleveland 3.5, 4, say put your money down on it. You won't be disappointed in this one this week. Eagles again coming in their second road game. Carson Wentz has not been looking good, and that Cleveland Browns defense pretty much shut down Deshaun Watson last week, all the way into that fourth quarter. And I don't really compare Carson Wentz even close to what Deshaun Watson is. And my second like is going to be the Colts Packers under. Yes, they have Aaron Rodgers. Yes, Phillip Rivers played great last week on Thursday against the Titans. I think they scored 41 points. But this game is going under, and here's why. Because of the defense. The Colts defense, the Packers defense, they've been playing great this year. Both probably top 10 in my opinion. Colts probably actually top 3 in my opinion. And the way that the Packers and Aaron Rodgers have been playing on the offensive side, they've been running the ball a lot. You know, Devontae Adams has been getting touchdowns and getting a lot of yards, but he might not play this week according to what's been talked about around the rumor mill. And Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams just run the ball down each of those teams' throat. Every team they've come across throat. And I can see that happening again this week, though they may not have the success that they normally do because that defensive line for the Colts has been great. They have one outstanding rookie who had a great game last week, Michael Pittman, coming off that injury. T.Y. Hill has completely fallen off the face of the map. But still, Phillip Rivers looks in championship form, as always. On top of that, the running game has been really great. Nyheim Hines came out of nowhere last week and ran all over that Titans defense and scored multiple touchdowns. Though the Colts have been able to throw the ball around a lot and score that way, I think they're going to have a lot of problems with this Packers defense. They may be able to run a lot, and the Green Bay Packers are probably going to run just as much on the other side, which is why I think the under is going to be good this week. 51.5 points is a lot, and that pretty much means that each side is going to have to score 3 touchdowns to get that average up, and I just don't see that happening. If the line was a little higher, it'd probably be on my love list, but at 51, I like that a lot. If it was in the 40s, I wouldn't touch it. So if you can find it at 51.5, put your money down on that one. It's definitely a like in my book. And for now, the two games that I absolutely love this week. Absolutely love this week. My favorite last week hit. It was the Rams against the Seahawks, -1.5, and that one hit. So I'm giving you two loves that I like this week. The first one I'm going to give you, not my top pick, but definitely up there, is the Chiefs. They came in -6.5, and that line has skyrocketed up to -8. They may be playing in Las Vegas this week, but the Chiefs have revenge on their mind. It's been circulated throughout all the news articles and anywhere you can read online that the Chiefs are mad because the Raiders rubbed that win into their face at Arrowhead last week. And Andy Reid, whether it's true or not, has been putting it in this player's head to come out and just absolutely destroy the Raiders this week. And I see them way bigger than 8 points. If this line was up to 10, I'd probably take it, because the Chiefs' offense is looking to come back and destroy that Raiders defense. And speaking of the Raiders defense, they had a huge COVID outbreak again going on over there. So now that whole entire defense has been quarantined all week. Yes, you may be like, oh, well, they may need the rest and so and so. Those teams, NFL teams, love repetition and love going through their offense or through their defensive progressions every week to be ready. And playing against the Super Bowl champs, they're going to have to be on their A game. And missing all that time is definitely going to be hurting them in the long run. On top of that, Andy Reid's coming off of a bye, and it's any better knows, historically, Andy Reid's been amazing off byes. 18-3 in his career. And I'm looking for the Chiefs, who get back Sammy Watkins this week as well, another weapon, to come out and just absolutely destroy that Raiders team this week. So that's on my love list. Get that line while you can, because I'm pretty sure it's going to grow even higher by Sunday. And for the game that I absolutely love this week. Love this week. This is the game. This is the game I'm going to have my money on, and this is the game I suggest you put your money on, because this line is perfect. This line I don't think will fall or get any higher than what it is, because a lot of people are going to be looking at this line and wondering, why are you taking it this week? Why are you taking this team this week, Ben? And I'm going to tell you why. I love the Titans +6 against the Ravens. Now you're going to be going, Ben, why am I putting money on a team that just got destroyed by the Colts last week on Thursday? Because they're getting healthier. They played on Thursday. They get extra time to heal and rest up. And just part of that rest has helped them get back cornerback Adoree Jackson this week to give those Raven wide receivers just fits this week. Hollywood Brown's been on a slump. Snell has kind of come up and scored a lot of touchdowns in this place, but he's not a primetime wide receiver. Adoree Jackson is going to be out there shutting at least one of those guys down. And on top of that, they're getting healthy on the defensive line and their linebackers as well. As for the Ravens, they're going the opposite direction. They played Sunday night, less time to heal. They're losing 4 players possibly that won't play this week on that defense. Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Jimmy Smith, and Anthony Levine. 4 players that the Ravens absolutely need to stop this Titans offense. On top of that, they're also going to be without Orlando Brown on the offensive line. Clowney's going to eat them for breakfast. Clowney is going to kill Jackson this week. Even if he's that fast, you need your offensive line. So because of those injuries, because the Titans are going to be healthy, if you want to take a risk, put your money on the money line. I might put a little money on that as well, because I think this Titans team is going to win outright. But if you don't feel that safe because you're worried about what happened 12 days ago, so be it. But I'm telling you, +6, perfect. Money line, you're gambling, but I think it's going to hit. I think the Titans are going to beat them outright. So that is my favorite game for this week. And I hit my favorite of last week as well. So just letting you know, that one's going to be money. And now that I'm done with my 6 games that I want you to take this week and I'm putting towards my record, I'm going to go over 2 games that I kind of was leaning towards as well, hopefully putting into that top 6, but they just didn't make it. And they're my 2 trap games.
It's a trap!
And they're going to be trap games you'll see right now, and you're probably going to be like, Ben, why do you hate the Miami Dolphins? I don't hate the Miami Dolphins. I hate the lines that they get. The lines are horrible. Every single time I see them, last week I saw it, you talk to any professional handicapper, and they'll tell you that line did not seem right last week with the Dolphins and the Chargers. So again, this week, the line just doesn't make sense to me again. And I'm going to tell you why the Dolphins are going to lose to the Broncos. Not telling you to put your money on them, but just be careful. So again, going into it, Dolphins -3.5 against the Broncos. Playing in Mile High. The elevation, one of the worst places to be a road team to play. Broncos are not great. Reason why I didn't include it in my 6. But Dolphins, I think, are a little overrated, and here's why. Since Tua joined the Dolphins, and I got this stat off the Even Money podcast, the Dolphins have averaged 30 points since Tua started with them the last 3 games. 30 points. That's a lot, you're going to say. I'm going to say 30 points. That's an awesome offense. Wrong. Defense has been the reason why they've scored, been up to that average. Now, the Dolphins have scored 5 fluky touchdowns over the last 2 weeks going into this week. 3 of them were off of kick return, punt returns for touchdowns. The other 2, one of them came off of a block punt where they just happened to land right there on the 1-yard line and the Dolphins just punch it in. And the second one was off a turnover where it just happened to end right there on the 1-yard line. And again, they punched it in for a touchdown. You take away those 5 touchdowns and the Dolphins are only averaging 18 points a game. 18 points! And you're going to give them -3 against a Broncos team? Defense is pretty good. Offensive, not so much, but those wide receivers are really good. And if Gordon and Lindsey can actually get their butts in rear and actually run the ball, Broncos are not that bad of a team. So, -3, no. If you want to take the Dolphins money line and gamble on it, go for it. But I think the Broncos are going to win this game outright. Again, this one doesn't count against my 6. I'm just telling you, it's going to be a trap. It's going to be a trap. And if they win this one, I won't talk about Miami next week, I promise you. And my second trap game, though it may not be a trap game that much, but I'm going to stay away from the Chargers and the Jets. Yes, the Jets are 0-9, but they're giving them +8.5. The Chargers live for a last drive victory every week. Every week, they're either getting blown out or they're winning by 2. Or they're losing by 6, going to the last 30 seconds of the game and trying to score on that last drive. So I'm staying away from that game. Though the Jets are 0-9, their offense is not that bad. And if you want to take a prop bet this week, take the Jets over 17.5 points for the game. You're not going to be able to parlay it or anything, but if you bet that one outright, I guarantee you it's going to hit. No Joey Bosa this week for the Chargers. So that the Jets are going to have a pretty easy time on that offensive line, holding everybody back and letting Flacco throw the ball all over the place. Not going to say that the Jets are going to get their first win this week, but they're going to score points. They're going to score points against that Chargers defense, even though they're on the road. So those are my 2 trap games. Stay away from them. Don't take the Chargers because they're playing against a team that hasn't won this week. Don't take the Dolphins because they're the hot team right now, and they're playing against a horrible Broncos offense, not defense, offense. Just remember they have to go to Denver to play that game, and I don't think Tua's ever played in altitude like that before. So those are my 2 trap games. Stay away from them unless you're going to take the Jets total, which is, I believe, at 17.5 right now. So this has been Ben Martinez on a heater this week. Please like, share, subscribe with your friends. Pass it around. Let them see this video. If you have any friends or family in Vegas this weekend or Atlantic City or anywhere else you can bet, send them this video because I guarantee you we're going to be blazing next week.